was Jack Orion.
Funny how your memory leaves you right after you're born. It can take decades sometimes for people to even remember who they are or why they're here.
Do you believe that the universe is infinite? Open your mind, Jack. You can become whoever it is you want to be.
Once you wake up, you can't go back.
If the prophecies are correct, he is Kalki. And if he is Kalki, you must terminate him.
Jack, wake up.
How can I become as good as you?
This will help.
Are you ready to wake up?
Thought I was awake.
If I succeed, then the human race can return to a time of splendor, time of wealth, time of happiness. This is a revolution of the spirit. What if they don't want to hear the truth?
They don't, Jack. What do you think we're sending you?
Let's cover a few of the concepts, if you don't mind, that you went into in this film.
I would love to, actually.
All right, the Gnostic theory, the Archon intrusion. I mean, this is one that is bubbling to the surface all over the place, and I love to see this shown in this kind of idea. And yeah, let's just, there was so much in this that really was a reflection maybe of Theosophy and even Luciferianism. So I wanted you to address that a little bit in the idea of the Archons and how the Gnostics played into this.
Yeah, well, I've always been really attracted to the Gnostic understanding of reality, and I'm not really a Gnostic, I guess, but I'm just attracted to it as a intellectual and philosophical concept, and it's not new; it's old. It's not something that was invented 150 years ago by some occultist in England. It was, it came from the Nag Hammadi texts, which were written, over 2,000 years ago. So there is some efficacy to the whole thing. And anyway, the whole idea was that there was this off-planet alien entity called the Archons, which had invaded our culture and our society and were turning us into corrupt beings when actually we weren't. And this is the whole precept of the whole Gnostic beliefs, is that what happened is that we were actually a pretty cool species living here pretty much in peace. And then one day these entities, these kind of parasites, showed up and entered into us, and this is all mentioned in the Emerald Tablet by Thoth and all these other books too. It's not just one source. There's a lot of sources for this, ancient sources. And they got into our councils of men and came as men. In other words, they disguised themselves as men, it says. And they broke into the councils of men and became the leaders of the world, which Archon means, king or leader and or lord. And so, I like this idea because I actually believe the human race is actually intrinsically a pretty good people. I don't believe we really like to hurt each other. I don't really think we like to kill each other. I think actually we don't relish it at all. And we have to almost be guided via mind control into this kind of violence towards each other. And a lot of it is because we're asleep. When we wake up and realize that we're all deeply spiritual beings, even the animals and plants, then we take on a different view of everything, which what the Archons do not want us to see. They don't want us to see ourselves as we really are. They want us to see each other as just commodities that, life is cheap, and we can trade each other and have slavery and all that. And I was trying to get that across, that the Archons in the movie, who are the leaders of the world in the movie, they really don't care about us, and they just want us as slaves, and they don't want us to wake up. And that's the whole point of this society, is to keep us asleep, whether it's the movies or the TV or whatever, which is why I have him break into the satellite networks and everything, because I want him to break into the Archon edifice of control, at least for a few minutes, break it down. and let the truth out. Which, by the way, on a level speaking right now, guys like Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, I guess, are kind of breaking down the matrix right in front of our eyes, whether they want to or not. So it's kind of interesting to see in the election system that the two renegades are actually shattering the matrix in a lot of ways. So the truth is getting out, and nobody can stop it, whether they want it out or not. So it's gratifying to see that, you know, it's actually happening in a real world way. Another thing that's really interesting about this whole thing is I did not know this until after the movie got done. There are a whole lot of young people, young males in America who think that they are Kalki. I did not know this, and they're beginning to come forth and make themselves known to me. And I realized that there could be 100,000 Kalkis out there right now. And then that made me think, well, maybe maybe the prophecy wasn't just one Kalki, but that there would be hundreds of thousands of Kalkis rising forth to right the wrongs. And wow, that really got me going when I started meeting these young guys who all thought that they were Kalki. Long before the movie came out, they did not know the movie was coming out. This is just them on their own doing their own research, which I find fascinating.
Wow. So Kalki is an official character throughout mythos, or?
Yes, he's a character from the Vedic text. He's the 10th avatar of Vishnu, the last avatar that Vishnu lays down on the people of the earth. The last two avatars, the 8th avatar is Krishna, and the 9th avatar is the Buddha. The 10th avatar, Kalki, is the male counterpart of Kali, and he will come during the Kali Yuga. And he will come to, what you want to do is you want to follow Kalki, because if Kalki fails, then they're sending Kali. And Kali is not going to deal or negotiate with anybody. Kali's just going to come and get rid of all of us. The last two avatars, the 8th avatar is Krishna, and the 9th avatar is the Buddha. The 10th avatar, Kalki, is the male counterpart of Kali, and he will come during the Kali Yuga. And he will come to, what you want to do is you want to follow Kalki, because if Kalki fails, then they're sending Kali. And Kali is not going to deal or negotiate with anybody. Kali's just going to come and get rid of all of us. So Kalki is coming here to do a correction, to get rid of the powers that be, the archons, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them. And if that does not work, and if he cannot influence us to get rid of this evil which permeates the Kali Yuga, then Kali will come, and she will spare no one. It will be complete devastation of all, because we did not rise up to stop it. Then we are culpable. So Kalki gives us the ones who where we do not understand what's going on. So Kalki comes and explains to us what's going on, which he does in the movie, and then shows us a way out, and then says, you are responsible now for taking care of the problem that I just presented to you. And if we do not take care of that problem ourselves, if we do not rise up and become courageous and vanquish these evil critters, then we're all going to be held responsible at this point. Right now, we're not being held responsible because we did not know. But soon, we're not going to be able to have that excuse anymore, because the internet, movies, shows like yours are making it so no one can escape the truth. And therefore, we're now moving into the second wave of the awakening, of which I believe that the film The Last Avatar is the end of the first wave of the awakening, which is just opening up to the knowledge of what's going on and realizing our spiritual potential. But now comes the hard part, which is the second wave of the awakening, where we have to extract these guys from our society and get rid of them and figure out how to do this without bloodshed. And that's going to be tough because these guys are entrenched like I've never seen. And I sit in a certain kind of position with my job and everything, and I can kind of see what's happening around the world in a way that I wasn't able to see before. And I can tell you the syndicates and the mafias and the elites that are in control have such a firm grasp on some of the most inane crap that you've ever seen that the next phase is going to be extremely dangerous as we move to get rid of vaccines, we move to get rid of GMOs and all of the other archon imprints that are in our world right now. These guys know what we're doing. They're watching us, and they're planning way ahead to stop us. And I am convinced of this, and I'm astonished by it. But we still are fooling them because we're moving and advancing with the awakening so quickly that they're scrambling, but are they scrambling hard enough? And I don't think they are. I really don't. So it's a long answer to a short question, but anyway.
In this movie, The Last Avatar, we have a figure known as Kalki, who is a Hindu, a god essentially. He is the avatar of the creator god Vishnu, and that is similar to, it's not exactly the same, but it is similar to the way people may look at Jesus, right? When some people believe that Jesus is the Father in the flesh. Well, in their mindset, Jesus Christ is the avatar of the Father in heaven, essentially. Personally, I believe that Jesus Christ was the Word of God. He was not his Father. He was his own separate person, and he had his own will, but he chose to do the will of the Father, but he was not his Father in the flesh. So we don't need to be dividing over that, in my opinion. If you feel like he is his Father, and well, that's you know, hey, that's you. But so anyway, what some people would do is they would look at that and say, well, Jesus Christ is the avatar of the Father, so it's not unlike what we believe with our figure of Kalki or Krishna or Buddha, because these were also avatars of Vishnu, and they came in cycles. And the reason why I'm really going into this in the first place is that I think it may be beneficial to understand how other people or other people of other beliefs think, so that we aren't completely ignorant about what's going on outside of our own Christian world. And also, we need to be able to answer questions that people have, because if we can't answer questions, that just makes it a lot more difficult to witness and to be witnesses. And I mean by that, I mean by the way we carry ourselves, and just being able to have an answer, I think, goes a long way to building people's faith in the faith. Like it says in, let me get the scripture before I misquote it. It's in 1 Peter 3:15, where we read, "But sanctify the Lord God in your hearts, and be ready always to give an answer to every man that asketh you for a reason of the hope that is in you, with meekness and fear." So we need to be able to answer any question that comes up, or any opposition that comes up against the faith, because not only does it help our own faith to be able to defend the faith, but it also helps the faith of those who are around us when they see that the faith can be defended. I believe that helps to keep people from falling away. And so back to this Kalki person, I want to get into a little bit of the mythology of Kalki briefly, and also let you know that what the director of this movie did was he blended together a few different ideas. He blended the Hindu religion with Gnosticism and some New Age. So you're going to see ideas from those three belief systems in this movie. I won't go through the whole movie, I'll just go over some of the things that we see. But as far as Kalki goes, the mythological Kalki, who differs a little bit from the movie version, at the Ancient Origins on the website for ancientorigins.net, we read about Kalki, a harbinger of the apocalypse. It is believed that Kalki will bring about the destruction of the world when mankind has completely abandoned religion, when nothing is known of the teachings of sacrifice, even by word. Kalki is the final incarnation of the Hindu god Vishnu, who is predicted to come like a comet and carrying a terrifying sword for bringing about the annihilation of the wicked barbarian man at the end of the Kali Yuga. I don't feel like trying to pronounce that last part there. As a brief note, I'm recording this portion on a later date, so if it sounds different, you'll know why. Picking up where I left off, according to Hindu belief, universal time is comprised of 4 great periods, or yugas: Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dvapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. Currently, humans are living through the Kali Yuga period, which is roughly 432,000 years long. After 432,000 years, the Kali Yuga is said to be brought to an end by the return of Vishnu, Krishna, and the avatar of Kalki, the 22nd incarnation of God. Riding on the Devadatta, his noble white steed, Kalki will come down from heaven brandishing a fiery sword, the weapon of Parabrahman, to kill the godless and the wicked. Reminder, there is a contradiction in the Hindu religion. Kalki is also said to be the 10th avatar of the creator god Vishnu. Things will be so bad at this point that his arrival will be seen as a blessing for the few remaining holy people who persevered and survived in caves and in the wilderness. Kalki, whose name can be translated to destroyer of foulness, destroyer of darkness, or destroyer of ignorance, will then usher in another Satya Yuga. This will be an age of truth and righteousness. Note, obviously, many will compare Kalki to the returning Jesus Christ. Let's remember the warning that Jesus gave us. And he sat upon the Mount of Olives, and the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming, and of the end of the world? And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. Matthew 24, verse 3 through 5. Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible they shall deceive the very elect. Behold, I have told you before. Wherefore if they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. Matthew chapter 24, verse 23 through 26. Okay, so that was a little bit of history about the Kalki, the mythological Kalki. Of course, what we're going to get in this movie is a a director's own vision, I suppose. So for us Christians, the image that comes to mind when we consider the mythology about Kalki is that of the first horseman of the apocalypse, also known as the rider on the white horse. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, as it were the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, Come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. That's Revelation chapter 6, verse 1 through 2. So looking back at the movie The Last Avatar, Kalki is this returning figure on the white horse. But what we have here is the director's own vision, and like I stated before, his vision in this movie is a fusion or a blending of concepts from Gnosticism, from the New Age sort of mysticism, and also the Hindu religion. So the Kalki figure, of course, is from Hindu religion, and this place, or this story, begins at a place called it's near Mount Shastra, which is, I believe, in California. And the director places the mythological Lemuria right around that area. So moving on here to look at this crystal that comes into the picture. Now, I forgot to mention that when you get into these, when you get, especially like New Age, New Age is just a blending of many different beliefs anyway. So you also have a little bit of Kabbalah in there. I forgot about that. You have this crystal here. There's a prophecy concerning this crystal that this Kalki person would find it. Only this one person would find it, and they would know that he was Kalki by him actually locating the crystal. And so there's a book in this movie that has the picture of this crystal, and inside that book you see the Kabbalah tree of life. Inside that crystal, I mean, in the book, in the diagram, the Kabbalah tree of life is in the crystal. So, and the person who owns this book is this one, I'm just going to call her witch because that's what she is. She's a witch. She's an older woman, and she has two other companions, younger woman who is essentially supposed to be Kalki's soulmate, someone who he either knew in a past life or knew in the eternal before, if you get what I mean, before they came into the world, before they lost their memories, before they had amnesia, because that's sort of the idea that some people have in these other belief systems, that we were part of the, let's just say, the only word I could think of to really describe it is the pleroma, or the fullness, or the whole, that is used in Gnosticism to describe the whole entire body of celestial beings or emanations that came from the original God source, not the God. Of course, the God in Gnosticism isn't a person. It's just a force or a entity. It's just there. And so these emanations come from that God, which are, I guess you can look at them as just angels or gods. Okay, so she knew Kalki from before somehow, and there's this other old fellow in the picture who I don't really feel like talking about too much. He doesn't really do much at all. So Kalki is a guy named Jack Orion, and of course Orion, we think of Orion, we think of Nimrod, because the constellation Orion is called the Hunter, and Nimrod was called the Mighty Hunter. And so for Kalki to be this, what we would call the Antichrist figure, it makes sense that he would have Orion in his name. I don't believe that the director was aware of that connection, but Sometimes these things just work out that way. And so Jack Orion, of course, is a mess before he ends up losing his home and having to hit the road, and probably because in a almost Neo-like, when we look at the Matrix, Neo had to hit the road because he was waking up, and the agents were going to come after him. And so Kalki takes a hike, right? And on his long journey across California, going upward, he runs into this woman who you will see come into the picture here.
Who are you?
So this woman represents another place where all these roads cross, where you have the Gnostic. She represents the Gnostic Sophia, right? Sophia is Gaia also to the Gnostics, and well, some would claim that she is just a metaphor. They don't understand that even as a metaphor, she represents somebody who actually does exist. And so you have her, Sophia, Gaia, and Kali from Hinduism. That's who she represents. Who you can just sum it up and call her Mother Nature or Mother Earth, and that's who Gaia is: Mother Earth, Mother Nature. And of course, she is also Venus, and Venus is Lucifer. And so I noted here that Gaia is the living embodiment of the earth in nature. Gaia is her Greek name and the one that surpasses all language barriers. In your Holy Bible, her name is Asherah. Her name Asherah is translated as trees, groves, and the grove. In 1 Kings chapter 21 verse 7, Manasseh places an image of the grove in the temple of God. This can also be translated as an image of Asherah. And so it's really important to recognize, in my opinion, what is at the root of all of these religions and nature. It's important to recognize that some people may ask, okay, well, why do we have to know who the Queen of Heaven is? Why do we have to know who Mother Nature is and all of this stuff? This is not important. But it is important because they have this agenda. You can see it in the whole climate crisis stuff that they're always talking about. This agenda to bring a consciousness of the earth and a more of awareness of the environment, and it goes into getting our minds geared towards looking at earth and nature as something sacred, when all of God's creation is beautiful and sacred in a way, but it's going to become something very I want to say it's going to cross a line, and it's going to end up going into worship. And so in this movie, she's called the Guardian. They don't actually refer to her as Sophia or Gaia or anything like that, but they call her the Guardian, and they do note that she is the living embodiment of the earth. And so right there, even if they didn't call her that, though, it is kind of obvious that she is who she is.
Hello and welcome to everyone who still cares and dares to listen. This is John Lash recording on the 30th of September 2016. The subject of this recording is a commentary on material to be found in metahistory.org under the generic title, The True Lucifer is Sophia. I advise you all to follow the written material upon which this commentary is based. In fact, I'll be skimming over that material and remarking on it, making points about it, stopping to consider various paragraphs, various problems in the course of the exposition. And so you would do well to keep that material close at hand. If you go to metahistory.org, you will find a link on the home page that takes you to a kind of portal where you can link directly to all this material as well as to other talks which are closely related to the one that I'm giving here, right now. Just want to say before beginning that I tackled this question of what I call the Lucifer Sophia identity initially 1 year ago. It was exactly 1 year ago, in September of 2015, that I initially posted some material on metahistory.org, but later withdrew it. The text that you find and the content of this talk represent what I take to be one of the issues of highest priority in Gnostic teaching today. No Gnostic teacher worth his or her salt would qualify for the role were they not able to comment at length and in great detail upon the problem of the identity of Lucifer. I have been deeply troubled and irritated to no end by the reckless, ignorant, and irresponsible things that are frequently said about Lucifer today. You will find people expounding on Lucifer, on the Luciferians and the Satanists who are running the planet. You will find them attributing Luciferian ideology and practices to the Sabbatean Frankist Jews. You will find defendants of the Bible and the Holy Scriptures coming out of the woodwork with their claims and accusations and allegations regarding the evil and nefarious nature of Lucifer, considered as the opponent of God and the enemy of the human race. And all of that, I assure you, all of that is entirely delusional.
What is also revealed in this movie is that in Jack's dreams, when he goes to sleep, she meets him in his dreams, and this is the quote: she plants the seed of their teaching and into him. Right? She plants the seed of their teaching into him in his dreams, and that reminds you of what the Bible says in Job. And Job says that in sleep, in deep sleep, God seals your instructions to keep you from the pit. And I should have gotten the quote, let you hear her say that out of her mouth. But if you watch the movie, you will hear her say that in the movie. So she's been communicating with Jack in his dreams. He hasn't really understood what he's been seeing, but things kind of hit a real turnaround when he runs into this old man. I forgot this guy's name, but what this man goes on to show him is, or what I should say is, what he tries to do is he tries to awaken Jack. He's the one who he's the Morpheus in this movie. He's the Morpheus to and Jack is Neo in a way, you know what I'm saying? So what he's going to do is he's going to try to awaken Jack and to help him understand who he is.
You're always looking for something, Jack. A woman, a drug, a job, a savior.
How are you doing this?
Jack, you're more than flesh and blood. You're immersed in a river of invisible energy. It's called a light body. It's within you and without. It informs you, celebrates you. It co-creates with you. It's your friend, Jack. It's your ally.
So the light body, he talks about the energy that surrounds him, and this goes into the pantheistic belief that God is a force and He is in nature, He is in everything. Or it's not really a He, all right, because it's an it more than it is a He, because like I said, it's not a person. But they'll call it a He because what people want to do is they want to draw in, they want to make people feel like we're all talking about the same thing. And so we have the Most High God in the Christian religion, right? And He is a He is Father. He's a Father God. So in order to convince us that we're all talking about the same thing, people will acquiesce and say, okay, well, that God, the original God, the one, is a He or is a Father. But really, that force is neither one. He's not a male or a female. It's just it's a force. And so he's talking about what the man tells Jack is that he's surrounded by this invisible energy. This is that God energy, that God force that is in the trees, is in the grass, is in the bees, the bunnies, and everything. It goes through everything. That's why everything is God, and that's pantheism, right? And that is and so in the world, like in the pantheistic world, the highest, the deity really becomes Mother Nature, and that's why Sophia is so, or Gaia is so important in this movie. And I'll explain a little bit more about the Gnostic part of it later when I mention Sophia. But so anyway, moving on. In the movie, you have this villain, right? The villain is basically one of the elites who is he represents the New World Order and everything like that. And so he's coming after Kalki. He has his agents, just like in the Matrix. There were agents going after Neo to try to stop him from awakening. He's a Kalki figure also. And so returning to the old man again, Jack has another run-in with the man. I'm not quite sure if he was dreaming in this part or not. And this is where the man shows him the light body. You'll notice that as you look at the light body, you will see the chakra points, right? You'll see the where in yoga and in Kundalini, you always see when you look at these charts, or if you look up yoga or Kundalini, you'll see the charts where they have I think there are 7 points in the body from the tail of the spine to the crown of the head, where supposedly the coiled energy, the energy that's coiled like a snake, ascends up past these points. And these points could also be representative of the what they call the 7 planetary gods, which are the Sun, Moon, Jupiter, Venus, Mars, Mercury, Saturn, and did I miss one? Is it Neptune? No, I don't believe so. Man, I can't remember right now. So anyway, I'm on the fly. So moving on, this man is going to, Jack thinks he's seeing a trick. He thinks he's seeing a visual trick. And so the man is going to explain to him about the force. And then I'll explain also what I was about to allude to earlier about where Gnosticism comes in this world.
It's not a trick, Jack. It's the force that drives everything. It's the force that lights up the galaxies, causes the sun to burn. It's the reason why nothing can be living or dead. Everything is living all the time. It's the force that animates you, that gives you your attractiveness, your power, or your lack of it. Jack, this force fills everything. It flows through everything. The animals, people, everything that is, seen and unseen. You can't regulate the force. It can't be siphoned off. The force is what it is. It's constant. But you can alter the amount of the force that you feel in you, or that you don't feel it.
So that was the explanation of the force, right? Okay, so in Gnosticism, where you have the one God who is neither male nor female, and he has emanations, right? He has the first emanation that comes out of him is the being that many refer to as the Logos, who they claim is Jesus Christ, but we know better that it's not Jesus Christ. It is another Jesus, and you have more emanations that come after him. So you have another being, and another being after that, and another being after that, and the supposedly the lowest being, Sophia, comes forth, and what she does is she creates the without she's supposed to pair up, right? But she's supposed to pair up with one of the male emanations, but she chose to go on her own to try to bring forth another creation like herself. But since she did it without her partner, the creation came out deformed. And by the way, let me make a quick note here that all of these emanations, let's say, I don't remember exactly how many there are. Let's just say there are like 30. So these emanations plus the original God force make up what's called the pleroma, or the whole. And so what Sophia does is, since she makes this being called the demiurge, the being is called the demiurge, and this demiurge is the God of the Old Testament. And the demiurge goes on to create what's called archons, or in our Bible, they would be God's angels, such as Michael and Gabriel and all of the holy angels. But in their world view, everything is flipped upside down. So these are the fallen angels, right? The creations of the demiurge are the fallen angels. And so the demiurge creates the material world. And so what you have here is the true God is impersonal. He is not really supposed to be into our affairs. But Sophia is the one who creates the demiurge and this all leads to the creation of this material world that we live in. And so in this material world, the closest thing that we have to a God that cares about us is Sophia, who created or who led to the creation of this material world. Now there's a disagreement here. Some say that Sophia, this material world that we live in, is this earth is the body of Sophia. When she fell, she fell into the material and she became the earth. And others would say that, well, the demiurge, she created the demiurge, and the demiurge created the material world. That's why the material world is satanic and it's evil, and we're supposed to come out of it, according to them. And so, in this world, the God of the Old Testament isn't the highest God. There are gods above him, and Sophia is one of these gods. And Sophia is the one who would like us to see her beyond the demiurge. And so, moving on, Jack finds the crystal in this movie, and these elite, or this one elite guy who is possessed by one of these archons, or one of these fallen angels created by the demiurge, is after Jack. And so on Jack's travels, he comes across this little green child who I'm having a hard time not connecting him to the green man, Cernunnos. And Cernunnos is obviously the name Cernunnos is obviously connected to CERN, and the Large Hadron Collider. And CERN and the Green Man, Cernunnos is the pagan witches' religion of nature worship, is the companion of the Earth goddess Gaia. So you see once again how all of these mystic beliefs blend together. So the Wiccans, the New Age, the Gnostics, and Hindu, and all so forth and so on. It's almost like we're talking about the same religion here, but we're really switching back and forth, because this movie is a blending of them all, and they blend seamlessly. And so what this green child does is lead Jack to finally meeting, I guess finally in a conscious state, meeting the guardian. What the guardian is going to do is she is going to take Jack down uh, into a cave. She's going to lead him to a cave, and the caves are always symbolic of like the underworld, the womb of the earth, the yeah, the tomb is the womb. So you're going into the place where, and it's symbolic of this is why, okay, like in the Masonic belief systems, right, where you descend into the underworld, you are dying and you are being born again, right? Not just Masonic, but in a lot of the mystery religions, to descend into the underworld or to go into the cave is that death and resurrection. And so it's interesting that while he is in the cave, he is in the underworld or the womb of the earth, which the seas are also symbolic of, but that's besides the point. He begins to get these revelations from this goddess, essentially. And it's almost like a massive download that she gives him. And she wakes him up to the fact, she tells him everything that's been going on since the beginning. So she tells him about the archons, and the archons are behind the Illuminati and the elite, and essentially what everything that doesn't get, the only thing that doesn't get said in this movie is that the God of the Old Testament is the leader of these archons. That seems to be left out. But he awakens to the force, this god of, not the god of forces, that's a different, I'm sorry, that's a whole different thing. It's easy to get confused. But so just on a quick note, the god of forces is also Gaia, because the god of forces is, the word forces in Daniel 11 chapter 11 verse 38 is moals or maos, which means fortifications, strongholds, and that is the Queen of Heaven, Isis, Gaia, and all of that. That is the god of strongholds, according to actual what you can find in history. The Ishtar Gate, the goddess with the crown on her head that looks like the fortified city or the walls of a stronghold, so on. That is the god of forces. Now the force, the god force or whatever, is that so-called being out there that is not a personal god. It's just there. It is just a god force that permeates everything. So moving on quickly, we're almost at the end of this. So Jack awakens from this process of getting this massive download of the history of the world, and he comes out of this and he goes through his preparation. He goes out to get ready to awaken the world, so called. And of course, in the mythology of the true mythology of Kalki, he's supposed to ride on a white horse and come and slay the evildoers. But like I said, this movie is a little bit of the director's own vision of things, so that part doesn't happen. Kalki is more of a Neo who is going to awaken people to who they are and awaken to everyone to the fact that they're gods. They're all gods because we all have the God force in us, and we're all eternal, and so forth and so on. And the director also stated, as you heard in the interview, that if we don't listen to Kalki, then Kali will come. Well, Kali is Mother Nature. I'm sure the director knew that part. I'm sure he knew that Kali is that woman who Kalki was meeting in the movie. And so you can find this movie on the Gaia website, or you can find it on Amazon. That's where I got it. I got it off of Amazon. And I hope, okay, that's the end of this. I hope that everyone was edified by it. I know it was a little long. I apologize for that. I just go on and on sometimes. Sorry about that. But I thank you for watching. I hope it was edifying. I pray that the knowledge benefit someone out there. I don't know who it'll reach, but maybe somebody will understand it. By the way, before I end this, I have to also say, if you please leave me a comment if you got something out of it, and if you do and I don't respond, chances are I didn't get a notification of your comment. For some reason, YouTube isn't giving me all of my notifications of comments, and I don't know why that is. Sometimes I get a notification of a mocker or a scoffer, but I won't get a notification about any other comments, positive ones at least. So thank you all once again for watching, and once again also, as always, trust the Bible over anything that I say. If anything that I say doesn't seem to fit what the Bible says to you, then okay, just leave it. But I do ask that you please look over everything that I have to say before you make your judgment call.